Anytime you're working on a video, recording high-quality audio can be a challenge. Sometimes the gear you have isn't ideal, or the environment itself is a total nightmare, or sometimes it's a combination of both. But whether you're using the highest end gear possible, or you're just working with what you have, it is possible to sound great no matter where you are. This is the exhibit hall at NAB, the National Association of Broadcasters event in Las Vegas, where there's more than 60,000 people here, hundreds of brands showcasing their gear. And there's no exaggeration to say it is quite literally a hellscape when it comes to capturing high-quality audio. There are more wireless signals bouncing around in here than there are grains of sand in all the beaches in the world. So capturing decent audio that you can actually hear is next to impossible, except you can hear me. You can actually hear me. There's conversations, there's noise, there's announcements, there's music, there's all kinds of craziness, but you can hear me because I have my trusty wireless SM7B, which is definitely how this microphone is intended to be used and doesn't draw confusion or ire as people look at it and see it. You can still hear me because it is a dynamic microphone positioned directly near my face in a loud environment, and it is doing a very decent job at rejecting stuff you don't want to hear. But the wireless SM7B, as goofy as it might seem, is definitely not cheap. The mic itself is $400, and the Shure wireless XLR transmitter set that I'm using here is $730. And then the signal booster that I'm using to make sure that the Shure SM7B is loud enough is another $40. So all in all, this is a wireless microphone setup that costs close to $1,200. Fortunately though, there are alternatives. This microphone, might be shocking to find out, costs less than $10. And the very professional stand that I'm using with it costs another couple of dollars. Altogether, this very professional setup is about $16. So I definitely got to give a hand to the tiny mic with big sound. Now I am running this microphone directly into the transmitter of my DJI Mic 2, which obviously is more expensive than $16, but you don't need to use that transmitter or even any transmitter. This can run directly into your camera, can run directly into your phone. You have tons of different options. Anything with a 3.5 millimeter microphone input, you can run this directly into, whether that's super expensive or super affordable. I want to take things really seriously, and someone that I really look up to is this guy right here.
Am I in the frame still?
You're in the worst location in the world for recording audio, a loud, crowded convention hall. What is something the average mortal like myself or somebody could do to try to get the best audio possible in a terrible situation like this?
Well, I think the first thing is to get a lavender tiny mic like this and get it close, like you're doing.
Check.
Nailed it. That's it, Tom. You got it. It's cardioid, right?
It's $6. I don't know what it is. Actually, to be fair, so here's actually a great question. When it comes to lavalier mics, some interview mics, there are like omnidirectionals, like the Rode Interview Pro is an omnidirectional interview mic. A lot of lav mics are, but they also have cardioid. I feel like cardioid would be the answer, but is it always the answer?
Not always, no. In fact, well, the audience may have noticed you're doing these wild movements with the microphone. With the nice thing with an Omni is you don't have to. Like, right. You can just kind of go like this.
It's very fun to exaggerate it, though.
It is. It feels a little dangerous. Like I should be wearing a hard hat right now.
Thank you, Curtis. I admire everything you do, and I appreciate you giving me the courtesy of helping me out right now.
Right back at you.
And of course, you can always take a more professional approach and use professional equipment the way it's intended, like my Sennheiser MD46 right here, which has a super cardioid pickup pattern. So it's doing a much better job of focusing just on me and rejecting other background noise. I'm gonna put the blue windscreen on though, just for the sake of fun, because believe it or not, it's actually okay to have fun with this stuff. And speaking of fun and professionalism, I do wanna thank the professional source, which is B&H Photo, for not only sponsoring this video, but also enabling me to even have an NAB trip, not just this year, but last year as well. B&H was literally the first place I ever placed an online order from when it seemed like ordering something from the internet was crazy. That was way back in the year 2000. And now more than 2 decades later, a quarter of a century later, it means the world to me to have B&H's support, to not only come to NAB, but just keep doing the things I love to do on this channel. So whether there's something you want to nab from NAB or a totally different piece of gear, B&H Photo has everything you need all in one place, and genuinely amazing, real human support whenever you need it, both in person and online. And speaking of in person, if you're ever in New York City, be sure to stop by the B&H Superstore, which genuinely does deserve the title of Superstore, to see everything in person for yourself. I guarantee it'll be a highlight of your trip, if not even just a reason in and of itself to visit New York City. So thank you again to B&H Photo for sponsoring this video, for enabling my NAB trip, and for helping to make NAB Unbelievable. Back over here on the tiny mic. Now, I do have eyes that have some degree of vision in them, and I understand that some people might say, hey, maybe that's too professional for me, and there's another subset of people that might say, not quite professional enough. So, let's switch over then from this $16 mic setup to the $350 microphone that is attached to my camera. This is the Sony ECM B1M, remember that number, and this is that microphone. Incredibly nice microphone. Doesn't the more expensive microphone just sound so much better? No, it doesn't at all, because it's not positioned well. It's beyond, look at this wide angle, it's beyond arm's length away in a super loud environment. So there's very little this microphone can do in this setting to create good sound. So that means even a great microphone positioned poorly will still give you bad sound. And in this case, with this just insanity of sound, all the chaos around me, this very inexpensive, very kind of ridiculous, although I would say ridiculously awesome, tiny microphone is giving me significantly better audio quality than the much more expensive, much higher quality microphone that's positioned poorly. And even in those worst case scenarios where things still aren't sounding good, despite the fact that you tried to do everything right while recording, there are software tools to help clean things up. Now back over here on the microphone connected directly to my camera, this audio is not great, but Final Cut Pro, my editor of choice, does have a built-in voice isolation feature that then lets me isolate my voice and hopefully improve the sound, and it can make a pretty big difference. And even if I'm using a microphone like the tiny mic, which sounds better because it's closer to me, there still might be too much background noise, so voice isolation can help a lot, and pretty much every major editing application has something similar. There's also an option, going back over here to the Sony microphone, to take it even further using Adobe's Enhanced Speech, which will really let me work some magic and make this audio sound much more usable than it would if I just used the raw audio or the radio directly from the camera.
Enhanced Speech is an AI-powered tool that allows you to take any kind of audio, any kind of dialogue, and just sweeten it and just make it sound wonderful and fantastic in just a couple of clicks. You can capture dialogue in some of the roughest environments.
Enhanced Speech is a more extreme option. You definitely want to try to get things sounding as good as possible while you're recording in the moment, but it really can be a lifesaver. Now back over here on the tiny microphone, you do want to use a light touch with Enhanced Speech, because if you dial it in too much, then it can sound really unnatural. Your voice will be too isolated, because even though that audio technically sounds good, it might not match your actual environment. Like right now, you know it's loud here, so if my voice is super isolated, it's going to sound unnatural even if the audio itself technically sounds good. So something you can do sometimes is to isolate your voice, make it sound as good as possible, and then mix in some of that radio to kind of make things sound a little more natural. Because the most isolated audio doesn't always equal the best audio. You want to make sure that your audio actually matches your setting. Just remember that audio is half of the video experience, so even if you're in a less than ideal environment with less than ideal equipment, there are ways to make sure that you sound great. And speaking of things that sound great, it sounds like a great idea to thank everyone who helps support the channel through YouTube channel memberships. And if you want some more sound advice for your sound device, check out these videos right here.